The proposition that Trump should be in jail is supported by many millions of people around the world. Ex-President Donald Trump has broken so many laws over so many years, it is astounding that he has avoided successful prosecution for so long. The more I watch the circus that is the US political system and its coverage by the media, the clearer the state of play in America is. Wealth and power make individuals seemingly above the law in the US. The great democracy is a joke, really, a bad joke at the expense of those who lack the material prerequisites for immunity from prosecution. The political system in America provides a get-out-of-jail-free card to those who tread the hustings at the highest level. Politics outguns the justice system when it really matters, as we see so manifestly in Donald Trump's case. There is a major political party in the US they call the GOP. The Republican Party represents just under half the voting population of America, if fairly recent voting trends are anything to go by. They lost the last national election for president by around 7 million votes in 2020. Of course, Trump and his cronies refused to accept the result and claimed voter fraud. No voter fraud was found despite extensive investigation into the matter. Trump preemptively brought up voter fraud before the election, as a strategy, it seems, to contest the democratic foundation of the election itself in case he lost the vote for presidency. Psychologically, it is well known that some individuals who accuse others of a crime do so to cover their own culpability. Intimate relationships often see the adulterous partner accusing the innocent partner of such behavior as a strategy to deflect their own guilt. Dictators like Vladimir Putin in Russia and Hitler before him in Germany falsely accused their targets of criminal behavior in a bid to justify their aggression and to confuse the narrative more generally. Examples of this behavior by bullies are everywhere if you care to look. White people who have been favoured for hundreds of years economically and socially within their towns and states point the finger at a few black individuals and claim that they are the ones being victimised by these criminals. The news organisations traditionally have focused on sensational instances rather than the longer-running stories of institutional racism. The GOP galvanizes voter support by dog-whistling about things like critical race theory and transsexual identity gender reassignment issues. The fact that these things actually affect a tiny percentage of the population is no hindrance to their anti-championing of these causes. The dominant white cohort is, it seems, extremely sensitive to any overt criticism of their sense of entitlement, in the past and going forward. Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida is a GOP leader in this strategic game of attacking those sections of the American population who have been enslaved and economically mistreated historically in the United States. Conservative parties always encourage their supporters to look back on a supposedly golden age when times were better. This, like much that comes out of political mouths, is fictitious, as such generalizations are never any real indication of what the reality was actually like for individuals. The grass is always greener, the faces were whiter back then. These are lies about the past, designed to distract you from examining their recent record of governing. The GOP is a party in the pockets of the wealthy and powerful. Donald Trump was a so-called billionaire, but not really according to his financial records hidden for decades. He is a Russian puppet with Mr. Putin probably pulling the strings. The whole American political system on both sides of politics is in the pockets of the wealthy and powerful. Senators and congressmen and women bought and sold by vested interests. Trump should be in jail, but the DOJ is still messing around ineffectually. The talk fest that is America is incredibly dishonest about most things. It is a country in the grip of corporate greed and has a weak judiciary and executive government when it comes to dealing with the wealthy and powerful. Trump was an incompetent and corrupt president. Over 1 million people died from the COVID pandemic in America. This is a damning statistic for one of the richest nations in the world. Wealth distribution in the US is abysmal, with the super rich hogging the lion's share to the detriment of many millions of working poor. The GOP and their economic policies have created this inequitable economy. Americans just want to get ahead and damn the rest. How many Mexicans does it take to change a light bulb? It depends on whether that wall ever gets built. Stupidity and ignorance helps maintain far-right lies and distortions. The Nazis took a lot of their racial policies from the 1920s and 30s America. Eugenics were very popular in the US in the first half of the 20th century. Democracy in the hands of capitalism will always be at risk of being subsumed by dictatorial powers driven by corporate interests. The Trump years were a good example of this, and thankfully he was voted out of office after a single term. The amorphous nature of democracy lends itself to coercion and corruption. Trump should be in jail. Until he is, the American judicial system is liable for ridicule on the world stage.